Okay, so we're going to graph two functions. First we'll do f of x, and that's going to look like a table of values here, and we'll have x and f of x. So maybe we'll put in like -1, 0, 1, and 2. And you might say, why not use -2? You could. I'm just shortening it up a little bit for our purposes. So when you put in a -1, you're going to get 1/2 there. When you put in 0, you're going to get 1. When you put in 1, you're going to get 2. And when you put in 2, you're going to get 4. Now we can graph those ordered pairs. So -1, 1/2 is like right there. 0, 1, 2, 4, whoops, 1, 2, and 2, 4. So we get this function to graph like this. And this would be f of x. Okay, now let's graph g of x. Now we'll have x and we'll have g of x. We're going to make a table of values. And let's see what happens if we plug in some numbers. So let's plug in like -1, -0. We'll use the same numbers, same x values. And so 0, and then 1 and 2. And let's just see what happens with these graphs. Now when we plug it in here to this function, we're going to have g of -1 is going to equal 2 to the -1 minus 1. So do you see how that's they're both in the exponent? So that's going to be 2 to the -2, which is going to be 1/4. Okay, so -1, but only 1/4, it's going to be like right under there. Now what happens if you plug in 0? You'd have g of 0 would equal 2 to the 0 minus 1, or 2 to the -1. That's going to be 1/2. And then if you plugged in 1, you would get 2 to the 1 minus 1, or 2 to the 0. That would be 1. Now let me graph those 2 points. So 0, 1/2 would be like right there. And then 1, 1 would be over here. And then if you plug in 2, you'd have 2 to the 2 minus 1, or 2 to the first power, which is 2. That would be right there. And then we didn't even get another point that would get you 4, but you'd have to put in 3, right, to get out the 4, because you'd have g of 3, which would be 2 to the 3 minus 1, which is 2 squared, and that's how you'd get the 4. So it'd be like over here. So what has happened is all the points from the original graph, f of x, have all scooted to the right 1. So this is a transformation, a horizontal transformation. They all shifted 1 to the right. Okay? And so we get this. Now, if we want to talk about like the domain and the range and the x-intercept and stuff, that some of those things are different. The domain is still all real numbers. The range is from 0 to infinity. It's still not going to cross the x-axis here. But the x-intercepts, there's none. But the y-intercept, it's not 0, 1 this time. It's 0, 1/2. Now you could find that by plugging in 0 into the function. The asymptote here is still y equals 0. Okay? All right, so that was a horizontal shift, and it moved all the points 1 unit to the right. So look at the difference between the equations. One has 2 to the x, the other has 2 to the x minus 1. So we've seen transformations before, so you might say, oh, okay, we had shifts to the right and left before. So if it had been like 2 to the x plus 1, it would have shifted to the left one. Okay? All right.